Welcome to Dead Man Talking. Tonight's story is a short but equally spine-tingling tale from the wonderful mind of Suck359. Of course, as ever, please do let us know what you thought down below in the comments box. Please do like and share. It really does help with the channel and our community further. And why not hashtag Team Fear and DMT's Cryptid crew. And so, with that aside, let's get into tonight's story, entitled What I Found at a Haunted Motel in Kansas was not a ghost, but something much worse. Let's get straight into that. As a paranormal investigator, I find myself boarding planes and traveling the country on a weekly basis. Once I actually think about it, it's a better job than most people think, especially if you're a horror fan. I've investigated haunted theatres, mansions and so forth. After all, my job requires me to be brave and not fear death or injuries. Now, I could go on and on about my experiences as a paranormal investigator, but I'm here to talk about something that no one will believe. They thought I had gone insane and was making up fictional stories, but I know what I saw. And before you roll your eyes, let me just tell you, this is serious business. My life was at its busiest and I really didn't have time for relaxing. The pay would be worth it if it weren't for the experience, which scarred me for life. I got a call from a motel called King's Inn that had experienced strange events. This was likely going to be the typical experience, except this time was very, very different. And King's Inn was only a 50-minute drive from my current location. And based on the reviews I read, this was a typical middle-of-nowhere motel. It didn't seem shady nor too fancy. It was just clean and average. When I got there, I mentally noted that the place gave off an eerie vibe, though I could not place my finger on it. The building was average enough and was only 3 stories tall. As I was walking up to the front desk, I noticed it was very, very quiet. I thought this was strange. However, as a ghost hunter, this usually meant there was a predator nearby, but it did not seem to like that. When I entered the lobby of the motel, I found it empty. And suddenly, a bearded man turned the corner, startling me. Sorry for startling you. Double or queen, sir? The man said. I'll take a double, I replied. Can I speak to your manager? I'm a ghost hunter, I said in an almost imposing voice. Oh, his office. It's down the hallway, he said as he rolled his eyes. When I knocked on the door to the manager's office, a surprisingly handsome man greeted me. I'm Martin, a paranormal investigator. You can call me a ghost hunter. I stammered out. I'm Chris. Take a seat, he said as he motioned towards the seat. I sat back on my seat, and Chris mentioned the strange occurrences. The reason I didn't tell you this, though, on the phone is because these are really strange. He quieted as he said this. Guests have gone mad, claiming they saw something that shouldn't exist, something that doesn't belong in this reality, Martin. We tried priests, tried rituals, but nothing has worked. He started shaking as he said the last sentence. Are you okay? I yelled out. Yeah, I'm okay, he said as he recomposed himself. And I think I saw something beyond imagination, he said as he returned to his shivering and paranoid self. What did you see? I said in an anxious tone. I don't know what I saw. Sweat beaded down his face as he said that. I sighed as Chris recoiled at one of his memories. I saw something Something otherworldly. I was on the second floor. We received a noise complaint, so I went to check it out. And down the hallway, I saw a monster. Well, it might sound silly, but I'm being honest, he explained to me. Nevertheless, I was still skeptical, but I would later find out the hard way the man's claims were true. As the sun was setting, I snuggled into bed. I didn't think this night would be eventful, but boy, was I wrong. As I scrolled through Reddit, I suddenly had the urge to look out the window. It was probably me just wanting to enjoy the views from the middle of nowhere, Kansas. The first thing I noticed is how dark it was. Way darker than it was supposed to be. And when I saw what was out the window, I froze. The first thing I noticed was the blood red moon. It wasn't supposed to be a blood moon in Kansas today. Just to confirm my suspicions, I checked when the next eclipse would take place. And sure enough, the next blood moon would be later that year. The second thing I noticed was where the moon was positioned in the sky. The moon was close to the horizon, meaning it was early morning. But that didn't make sense, since I had only been scrolling on Reddit for 30 minutes. But when I checked my time, it was already 2 in the morning. My eyes widened as I noticed this. This had to be a mistake. This was simply not possible. My thoughts were interrupted by a noise emanating right outside my door. I recognized the noise as white noise, almost like static. I got out of bed and headed towards the door. Even as I approached the source of the noise, it didn't seem to get any louder. I looked through the peephole but saw nothing. That's when I decided to take a step outside. That was the worst decision I've ever made in my entire life. As I opened the door, a sudden gust of air made me lose balance, making me fall back on my ass. "What the fuck?" I yelped out. That seemed to catch the attention of something as the volume of the white noise increased. If increased is an almost deafening noise. "I'm calling the cops if you don't leave right now," I angrily yelled as I stood back up. The noise suddenly stopped when I said that. Being confident some weird hillbilly had been scared off, I walked back to my room, locking the door behind me. And before I could do anything, I heard a very loud scratching from down the hallway. I was more pissed than annoyed, and whoever the weirdo was that was making these noises, I was ready to confront whoever was making the noises. I confidently walked out of the room. However, I stopped midway when I saw what had happened. The wallpaper down the hall had been ripped apart, revealing scratch marks on the wall. I instinctively ran towards the staircase to report what had happened, but immediately regretted that decision. When I looked down the staircase, I saw something staring back. I could barely see it through the darkness, but it was there. Glowing eyes, like cat's eyes, glared at me. "Hey, I'm calling the cops if you don't reveal yourself," I said in a stern voice. Something suddenly shoved me, sending me tumbling down the stairs. I yelped as I hit the concrete floor on the ground floor. When I looked up to see what had shoved me, I saw something that shouldn't exist. It was a weird creature. It was lanky but terrifying. Its skin was orange, and it was at least 10 feet tall. It had these weird claws that looked sharper than the sharpest knives. The creature stumbled down the stairs as I watched in horror. I tried to scream, but I was paralyzed in fear. It hurt my head trying to think about what happened that night. The creature then dug its claws into my foot, causing me to let out a squeal of agonizing pain. I cannot describe to you how much pain I felt and how much I wanted to die right then and there. and a creature dragged me by the foot down a hidden shaft as I could only watch helplessly. I prayed for whatever force out there to end my suffering, but my prayers were met with nothing but silence. I passed out from the pain and the sheer terror of the situation. When I came to, I was in the cold wind of the Kansas night. In the distance, I saw cloaked figures performing a ritual of sorts. I tried to get up and run, but I noticed that I was tied up to a rope. After what felt like hours, the creature neared the cloaked figures. The cloaked figures started chanting in a language that I had never heard of before. And suddenly, they all stopped chanting. The cloaked figures slowly started turning towards me. I was freaking out and thrashed around to escape. My effort was only met with failure as a firm hand gripped my shoulder. This is how I'm going to die, I thought to myself. Some cult in the middle of Kansas is going to sacrifice me to the devil. And before I could process anything, a faint light in the distance approached my direction. The group of cult members spun around to see what the source of the light was. I soon recognized what it was that I was seeing, and I got a sense of hope. That hope that I would be rescued before these devil worshippers sacrificed me. The right hand gripping my shoulders let loose, and the cult members ran off into the night. 3 days later, I was released from the hospital. The police questioned me for hours but could not find evidence to my claims. They thought it was a result of head trauma from a kidnapper. A truck had found me on the side of the road, injured and unconscious. I had been missing for over 2 weeks. King's Inn was forced to close down, and I was left with a destroyed foot and a broken arm. My life was never the same after that. Numerous investigations took place, but none found anything. I quit my job and turned to drugs and drinking. Even with all the drugs and cheap whiskey, I still can't get the memories of that night out of my mind. It's something someone could not forget. It is something that will always haunt me forever. I don't know what the cult members were planning on doing to me. I don't know what the cult or the creature is. But all I know is to not go near the fields of Kansas, especially at night. Wow. Absolutely awesome, short but absolutely spine-tingling tale there. Little bit of paranormal and a little bit of cryptid going on, I feel. Fantastic stuff by the wonderful mind of Suck359. Got a couple of stories I've noticed that are absolutely juicy and perfect for the show. Of course, a huge thank you to the author for allowing me to make a rendition of their work. Guys and girls, you know the drill. As ever, please do let us know what you thought down below in the comments box. Please do like and share. It really does help build the channel and our community further. And why not hashtag Team Fear and DMT's Cryptid Crew. Of course, if you want to support the show further and would like to get access to members only content and the 48 hours early access content, you can find the link to my DMT's Cryptid Crew membership below in the description box. As always, guys, I hope you've had a wonderful week and enjoying a relaxing weekend with friends and family. But above all, remember, be safe, not sorry.